What's up, YouTube? It's Anthony from Meineke Sentiments. And so I had a YouTuber message me and ask about machining rotors and machine to and discard. And he said, well, if you don't machine rotors and you don't do pad slaps, what do? We replace pads and rotors almost every service. That's your best brake job. That's your best stopping power. What's up? Give me a second. Let me just finish my video. And then you can do whatever you want. So at this point, when we do an inspection on a brake job, most of it's a visual inspection until I feel that the customer wants us to do the job. Unless they come in and say, hey, my brakes are grinding, I need brakes. And there's a bunch of scenarios to that. Some people know they need brakes, and some people have no idea they need brakes. So if you look at your car through your wheel, most of them you can today, you can look at the rotor, and you're going to see rust in many different forms. But what most customers don't see is what's on the inside. So when you look at the inside of the rotor, there's no machining this. You have a super high spot here, a low spot here, rust pinning through all throughout. So on the outside it looks good, but on the inside it doesn't. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, I just want pads and not rotors. That's up to the service mechanic to say what's best for your safety is, does it or does it not need rotors? So example one. Example two, same scenario. Oh, the outside looks great. Yep. This is a double-edged sword, but the other side is completely destroyed. Very common scenarios we see on all these braking systems. And what I don't understand is how the customers don't know or hear this or notice that the stopping power has depleted so bad. There's no stopping power left to this. And it makes tons of noise. Not sure why so many people ignore their brakes. And they're in quick lubes in and out constantly for changing the oil, if they even do that. And why isn't someone saying, hey, you need brakes, hey, you need brakes, hey, you need brakes? So by the time we see the customer in here, their brakes are grinding or the caliper's blown out, you know, for many different reasons. So here's another scenario here. Outboard brake pad surface. You can see the brake pad was only hitting here. It should be riding here and here. That's just on the outside. Again, on the inside. There's no measuring how deep the pitting is in any of these rotors, so there's no sense in you even bothering trying to machine them. And then if you go to try and machine them and you have a bench lathe, you have to beat these off the car. In most cases, they are seized on and will probably break. So again, not worth the time or effort. And plus, a new rotor surface cannot be duplicated like the brand new rotor surface. It can be duplicated closely, but not exactly. The micro finishes are completely different. Here's another example of a car. It's been sitting. You can see where the brake pad was just touching a little bit. It's a solid rotor, very difficult to machine. It can be done, but we don't bother with that anymore. And then here you go. These are all real examples from all different cars. It's not the same car. And then this was a rotor that we were machining the other day for some material, but you can see we machined it all the way down. This is way beyond machine to and discard specs. And when I was talking about the finish on the rotor, you could use a cookie pad and, you know, scuff it and try and duplicate the non-directional finish that the manufacturers do. And my brake lathe is old, and we weren't worried about the quality because we were just trying to grind material off of it. But if you just look in my scrap pile, if the rotor is not beat, meaning it's not worn out inside and out, I'm going to try and find one, which I probably won't be able to. It's pulsating ungodly. Yeah, so, I mean, you can just go through all the conditions of why you need brake rotors today versus what it was years ago. One is customers aren't coming in and saying, oh, you know, it's been a few years, I think I need brakes. They're coming in, I want a quick oil change, and out the door they go. And they don't care what else is wrong with their car. In most cases, this is my opinion. It's not everybody's opinion. We advise people to change their brake pads before they're worn out at 25%. Yes, can they drive longer? But guess what? I forgot, wasn't paying attention, and here you go, 25% is now zero, and then now they're hitting their brakes and they're grinding. Well, if you would have maybe put a set of pads on it 10,000 miles sooner, you could have eliminated replacing rotors, calipers, pads, etc. If the brakes are pulsating and you hang a set of brake pads on pulsating rotors, your pulsation is only going to get worse and ruin your brake pads. Pulsations reduce stopping power because he's pushing the piston back and forth It's supposed to be smooth hydraulic pressure. If you have rotors that are warped, parallelism, and run out, and you slap a new set of pads on there, guess what? The brake pad's not riding 100% on its surface, and it only tears up the brake pads and ruins that job. People say, oh, I pad slap my car all the time. Good for you. It's not the right thing to do, and every circumstance is different. When you're doing it for a professional environment, you want the customer to have a safe brake job and a quiet brake job, and that's where the quality comes in with material, hardware, sliders, rotors, hub bearings. So many things go into a brake job today. Brake fluid condition. But these are the reasons why we don't machine rotors anymore. And when people ask for just brake pads, 99% of what we see in our shops, the rotors are already shot. They were already shot before the brake pads were worn out. Thanks for watching.